the other shows. Like, here's the thing too. When you're talking about black culture, right? Like, as an Italian, we all like the same movies. Like everybody, like we had to say, like all my black friends had seen all the movies I had. They saw all the Godfathers, they saw all the Scarfaces, and all the Pacino and De Niro movies. So
you seen Paid in Full?
No.
See that for us, that's like a if you want to be invited to the barbecue, you have to have seen Paid in Full. Because if I start calling you Money Mitch, I needed you to know who that is. Before I say like niggas die every day, B, like you gotta know what I'm referencing, because that was gonna come up in conversation about 20 times.
All right, you might be a little young. Have you ever seen Fear of a Black Hat?
No, I have not. Did you call me young? God,
that's
crazy.
Yeah, I'm a lot older than you. You're like
you're not.
I'm like 45, man.
I'm 37.
I'm 53.
Oh, I thought you were.
I guess for the purposes of our generations, that is like a distance when it comes to
dude. So it's like the Spinal Tap movie, but for gangster rap. It stars the guy who wrote it. It's a dude, and he ended up being one of Chappelle's writers. So like, you got to check it.
Man, said you're young.
I got a copy of it. It's hard to find, but I got a copy of it. I'll get it to you.
Dave,
that'd be dope.
Dave in the chat, yeah, you can. A lot of people see they say, first of all, that ain't gray coming in on Niko, that's silver, right?
Yeah.
And
I've had gray hair. Like I think Pasas, for the entirety of that time that Pasas know me, I've had gray hair.
Yeah.
So since
silver,
my 20s.
Silver hair. Silver.
Yeah, my beard's gotten gray as hell since last time you saw me, Pasta.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, since I had my son, my 2-year-old, like, yeah, it has filled in a little bit. I will admit, it has filled in a little bit.
Facts.
It's and that like not even correlated with age. It literally, you can see the timeline from the moment he was born, and for like a year later, my beard just went like whoop, white.
Dude, every time you gotta jump up and grab a kid, dude, you get a couple more. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Oh well, then that explains a lot, because I jump up and grab mine literally 40 times a day.
Dude, I remember catching my kid, like just straight up catching her, dude. I'm like, oh God.
Literally. Yeah. You do y'all have the Steps app? I don't know if you ever seen that app. I know they have it for the iPhone. So basically it keeps track of your steps. If you have an iPhone or Apple Watch, you know what I'm talking about. You can track your steps. So I have this group that we do physical goals, right? And like their physical goal is like 50,000 steps. And when I first heard that, when the dude said that, he was like, yeah, I just really want to get hit 50,000 steps. So I said 50,000. I thought he was joking, because my average is 85,000 a week. I'm like, hold on, y'all don't walk 80,000 steps a week? No. And then I realized it's because I have to spend half of my day chasing behind my goddamn child. Bruh. And I asked my wife, like, what's your steps? She said, 75,000. Why? I said, oh, okay, so I'm not crazy. She was like, why? I was like, do you know this isn't normal?
Right.
What we're dealing with.
It is when you got children.
Yeah, bro. I got a test tube baby. I don't know I took a picture of his back muscle the other day, because my son is able to pull himself up on the countertop now, like at 2 years old. Like, no, because he got upset because we took the chairs away and was like, nah, bro, if I want to get on the counter, I'm gonna get on top of the counter. Pulls himself up, bro. I took a picture of his back muscles, bro. He looks like he's been just on a straight CrossFit plan for like the last 2 years. Like, since it's insane. I've never had back muscles like that. So I don't even know where the hell he's getting this stuff from. I'm a big dude, but he's a test tube baby. I don't know what we're feeding him, or what, like if Brazil got something different in the water. But
yeah, he got less shit in it.
And it might be it, right? Like, yeah, man, this is Niko. If you weren't malnourished and eating healthy,
right? Getting sun dimmed.
The response? So Hassan Piker made a comment about conflating, Jewish people with Israel, et cetera, right? And Abdul Syed actually basically rebuked his comments.
Shocking.
Like, went out of his way to put out a whole statement about it, which is weird in and of itself, because why is a senator
was he
candidate
being negative? I mean, was Hassan trying to simply lay out the difference between a Zionist and a Jewish person? Was that
basically, more or less,
Because I'm kind of there too. I don't care if Hassan's agreeing with me. Obviously, I think those guys are fools and stuff. And
it honestly is basically nothing different that we would say. It's one of those situations where I would be forced to defend him, basically, because he's not wrong. But it's just, I do find it hilarious that Abdullah Sayed, I've been calling him out for a while now. Like I said, since his first election, right after that, he became a shit lib immediately to get back into the grace of the Democratic
Shocking.
Party. Yeah. So he ends up basically literally like doing a statement specifically addressing Hassan and rebuking him, despite the fact that Hassan went out and campaigned for him and defends him religiously. And I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. So is that bus heavy? Hey, he just threw you under? I hope you can lift it. Because this is what this, I don't understand how you could expect any other result at this point. This is who these people are. Mamdani, El Sayed, ALC.
Ronnie
like,
Galick acting surprised too. It's like, I'm like, are you
Right?
fucking kidding me? Like on a tweet, surprised. Like, come on. I mean, like,
maybe I'm petty. Maybe I'm petty because I'm irritated at how these people can continue to play stupid, sell the people a bad bag of goods. Because it's one thing if you didn't have any evidence leading up to this point, and then they say, okay, how could you have known? But we got history, we got tweets, we got their own words. You know what I'm saying? Like
videos.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Video, like what Mom Donnie, they're like, I can't believe he's endorsing Hakeem Jeffries. Really? You can't believe that? He literally put a Zionist police chief who was responsible for sending police to go beat the shit out of college kids for protesting Israel. He put her back in charge.
Kept her in charge.
Oh, I do have some good news. So Sonia Massey's killer, he is dead.
Who?
The lady who got killed in Springfield last year, and that guy that went to jail. Well, he got stage 4 cancer. Now he's dead. He died.
Oh damn! Look at God.
Karma hit him like a shit pillow.
Look at God, man.
There's so many stories that I don't know about that I want to dive into. The whole Carmelo.
That was in my own neck of the woods, man. That was nuts.
Yeah.
My neighbor had signs all over and stuff. Like it's
what?
Crazy. Yeah, she
what
called
was
the
her
cops.
name again? All right, what's her name?
Sonia Massey.
And who killed her?
A cop. Let me find
And
it.
the cop now got cancer. And
then he died. And then they denied him a compassionate release, and then he died a few days later.
Oh.
By the way, quick
West
love
Virginia.
and thank you to Citizen Pendejo who just left a super chat.
Yeah, it's Sonia Massey.
Yeah, Sonia Massey. Hold on to that thought. Just want to say Citizen Pendejo.
Sean Grayson.
Sean Pendejo. Citizen Pendejo. Hold on a second. I just want a special thanks to you to come on in. I don't think I've seen you in the morning. I know I've seen you when I do Matt's show. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for coming on in. Back to Sleepy. We're talking really quickly, guys. You know, if you want to call in, this is a call-in show, 561-247-2721, 561-247-2721. We're already talking in the area. We're going to kind of transition back into what Niko was talking about Abdul El Sayed, kind of throwing Hassan Piker under the bus, because we talked about this yesterday on the show with Wyatt. Here comes the rehabilitation of the Democrats. They're coming. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's get these people that I want to hear about, because I didn't hear about this Carmelo Anthony guy until yesterday. I guess he was surrounded in Texas and he stabbed somebody in the heart when they tried to.
You didn't hear about that?
No, I did not. But
bro, it was a huge thing, bro.
Before we go to that, I want to hear about this one from Sleepy. And guys, if you want to call in and talk, we had a situation with another woman, the whole Massachusetts thing that was fucking crazy. But Sleepy, tell me about this one, who it is, the signs, all that stuff.
So her name was Sonia Massey. She was in Springfield, and she called 911 thinking there was a prowler in her house. And they went in there, it's all on body cam. The body cams was up, but he eventually shot her and killed her. And, and he got tried and convicted for murder and got like 20 years.
Was she a white woman or was she black?
Black. She was black.
What? And he got convicted in West Virginia?
No, he's in Illinois. He's where I'm at.
Illinois. He got convicted in Illinois.
Yeah, that's pretty hard, man. That's corrupt as shit here. But yeah, like he had I saw some of his tattoos. They looked a little tiny mustache man. So
like a little Ukrainish.
A little bit. So, But yeah, no, it was fucked up. Like I'm shocked they even tried him and convicted him.
I know. Like the fact that he even got
he didn't get enough time, but that took care of itself.
Yeah, he got the ultimate time. He got no more time. That's what he got.
That's right.
I'm looking at some of this stuff.
Sometimes God work on his own time. Sky Daddy work on his own time.
Colon cancer.
Yep.
Oh, the best kind of the worst kind. Oh man,
Yep.
That's good to hear. Should have got that finger up your ass, boy.
Right.
Where's the body cam is what I want to see. Ah.
Do they have the body
It
cam
was
footage?
messed up, man. She was clearly having some mental issues too, and it was messed up. She's the one that called, like, got killed.
No way. Oh, bro. And see, and this is why I don't call cops. And people, I think I've called a cop once in my life, and it was only because in that circumstance, I was not going to be near the cop when they arrived, and the friend involved was half white. So I was like, he'll be safe. But I had to call because it was like his life was in danger. But outside of that, I've never called the cops for myself. They'd be like, well, who do you call then? Nigga, I call my friends. What you mean? I call somebody who was near me.
I don't call cops on black people unless, like, you know, there's a problem, like a serious problem. Like, because I know even minor shit, they're going to get a bunch of shit. I want to put you through that.
Niko would always say, we got to keep pasta around. So somebody got to speak to the cops just in case they show up.
Right?
I wasn't joking.
I know you weren't.
Well, you got to get the gas.
Like, it's going to be an argument. Because
I got this. Like from Office Space, remember the two guys? And I got this. Like the little short fat guy.
They're like, what?
That's how I am when the cops come.
I'm like, yeah, man, this is pasta resident white guy. Huh? Yeah, no, he is. Like, whenever he don't want to deal with white people, that's what we're saying.
So, before we get started, gentlemen, I'm going to need to see all your business cards and your badge number. I just want to let you know you're being filmed at all times.
Yeah. And y'all laughing, but that shit, bro, pasta gets results.
No, it's true. It's true. I just like Pasta's like accentuated white man voice.
Yeah, he turned it on, man. He knows exactly. Listen, Pasta taught me the ultimate debate technique that I never would have learned just doing debate, and I was one of the best debaters in the world. Pasta was like, hey, man, white guys are very insecure. And no matter what happens, if you get emotional, and no matter, because you're passionate, genuinely, but they're going to perceive that as you being angry. He's passionate. They're just going to perceive it as him being passionate because he's right, and you're passionate because you're angry. So what you do is you just get calmer the more passionate, quote unquote, they get, and just watch shit roll downhill, basically. And that literally works because one thing they can't stand is when they try to get a black, because they pull that card all the time because they know, they're aware that their audience is like looking for a reason to label me as an angry black man to dismiss whatever I have to say. So he's like, don't give him a reason. And the more you get, the calmer you get, the more pissed they will get. And quite literally, that's what happened with Vaush. He rage quit in the middle of our debate. After he tried to, he literally went straight racist. I was like, now why would you throw insults at me when I came here to have a conversation expecting both of us to have a desire to educate our audiences? Vaush, I don't understand why we would go straight to insult. I honestly, I just thought you were better than that, bro.
You talked to that shit bird.
Yeah. Same thing happened with what's that guy? He's a doctor of argumentation at Rutgers. Logic and argumentation. He's a dick. Man, Ben Burgess. Same thing happened with him.
God, I forgot about that name.
Bro, I beat his ass in 2 debates. And I just did what Pasta said. The more he started insulting me, I'm like, man, I just thought that we were here to have a conversation about the facts. You know, I guess that both of us aren't really as locked into the movement and what's best for the people as a whole as I thought we were. But, it's okay, man. If that's what you need to go to in order for you to make yourself feel better, lean in on that. I'm just going to lean in on the facts and the information that we have here. Bruh. I was like, bruh, Pasta the man for that shit. Because my perception, white guys got their own little secrets, man. You know how that shit go. I didn't realize it how much until Pasta and my best friend started like cluing me in on shit. I'm like, damn, this would have been nice information to have about 15, 20 years ago when I was doing debate still, but I'll take it. And yeah, that's for that reason. I genuinely feel for that reason. That's why no one will fucking debate me anymore. Like
they can't make it look bad
because they're waiting for the angry black man.
Right, those who are popular on the populist right don't want to debate us. Common sense leftists on the populist left. They just
they don't want to. They don't want debate. They just want to be right.
Use woke. If they can't use that against us because they know we're not in that kind of element. If they know that somebody's going to be able to provide historical context that's going to debate and refute all their positions, they don't want to do it. I mean, literally yesterday, I saw Jason Burmis sharing, and this is your friend who I kind of had beef with, Jack Posobiec. Jack Posobiec complaining about people taking down flock cameras, literally.
He's complaining about that shit?
There was an article from the Pulse Millennial. So now Jack Posobiec works for Steve Bannon, right? And what do you call that outlet? Whatever you call it, One Voice America, whatever the fuck it is.
One America.
And he shared an article from the Pulse Millennial. The debate that Gabrielle Freedom, my executive producer, got me in Texas, which was, and she got them to work. They weren't letting anybody in, and I really wanted to debate destiny on elections. And they went there and like, look, if Pasta gets on stage and debates against these other people, which is America becoming a communist country? If he goes in that debate, because we have nobody representing the left, then we'll let him go into the other debate. She was like, absolutely. And I was like, hell yeah. But now we circle the wagons. We're here today. Really, we're seeing everything that's going on in front of us. Some of the discussions that I wanted to bring to the table today, right, Niko, was about Nick Fuentes. And a lot of people are finally going, okay, we see it. He's a Fed. We see it.
They couldn't see it before?
Yeah. Well, some people couldn't see it before. Now they can see it now. But that debate that I was on the stage for, and now all those people are like pro flock cameras, you know what I'm saying? Who gives a shit about due process? It's from the Post Millennial. On that stage was Libby Evans, who was the managing editor of Post Millennium, a guy by the name, I think his name was, I don't think it was John Allen or John something, but he was also worked on the Steve Bannon show too as well. That's who I was on stage with. All these people who were supported by the system itself. Right? Those who are put in charge and elevated on the right to sell you all this bullshit, right?
You know what's funny about Libby?
That it's necessary for data centers. It's necessary for flock cameras. Those who are supposed to help you usher in the fourth industrial revolution, all those fucking people are the ones who are now talking that language. Go ahead, Niko.
You know, Libby was like anti fourth industrial revolution. Like that when I knew her, because I didn't debate her, but I was at an event where, the same event that Fee went to and she debated Destiny.
Yes.
Before I did. So I was at that event, she was like raging against the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
With some alternative conservative media people. And then it's like, now it's Trump ushering it in. And it's crazy to look at how much people are just willing to, they're like dying on this hill of Trump. Because what else can the culture war is over, bro. Like, it's not working anymore. People aren't buying it. There's only so many times you can attack Black people and Muslims and ignore certain other groups, religious or otherwise, and people are going to still pay attention to you, especially when you're not giving any legitimate analysis on any other political issue that's pertinent and relevant today, like data centers, for example, or flock cameras. Right? This flock camera situation it's dangerous there was a cop that got caught basically stalking his fucking wife.
Yeah.
Using flock technology.
Yeah.
Like we are in unprecedented times, people. I don't want to go back to the US to even visit family at this point. Cause I know the moment I set foot in that bitch, I got a camera on my ass. Yeah. And it's not the shit that will be seen that I get worried about. Like, I'm not worried about the news that's going to get reported. I'm worried about what the fuck won't get reported. Because people can come up missing in the middle of the goddamn night. Yeah. That information can easily be passed on to somebody else. And when the government wants to handle you, you can disappear. And they will call it an overdose, a car accident, whatever the fuck they got to call it, pay off whatever quarter they have to pay off. Yeah, forget about you. That's where we're at right now with these flock cameras. That was a quantum leap in fascism, basically.
Yeah, that's what Donald Trump was about, ushering in the fourth industrial revolution. And yes, all those people acted like they were against it, but they would capitulate on their values. Hey, Niko, we can throw away due process. It's about immigrants. They don't deserve due process. Hey, who gives a shit about the Fourth Amendment? We got to stop those immigrants. We got to stop those Black people. We need flock cameras everywhere. They're for catching criminals. And, I talked to some of the older school people out there, some of my friends. It's like, they say the same thing. Everybody says the same fucking thing. If you're not doing anything wrong, you got nothing to worry about. That's not the point. That's not the point, ladies and gentlemen. We shouldn't have a government that is allowed to spy on innocent people. They're actually screening for pre-crime now. And this is stuff that Whitney Webb was talking about. And I got to tell you something, Niko, and I'll hand it right back over to you. Libby tried to argue and justify the atomic bomb on Japan on that fucking stage. And that's where, and once again, you said stay calm. Well, there was a little uptick in my voice there because I was just like,
you're white, man. You can do that.
You motherfuckers will always justify war at the end of the day. Sorry,
we have a call.
No, you're
Dude,
right, man. I was just
dude.
saying, like,
Oh,
you can do that, bro.
Nico, we got a call. Fix your hair. Look good. Look good. Ready? You ready? All right, guys. All right, we're
It's a
looking
call
good.
though.
Welcome to everybody calling the show today. And guys, good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Exit Knights of the Malta now. Baby Yaga, good morning. And caller, good morning to you. Who are you calling?
Baba
Wait,
Yaga.
who's calling and where are you calling from? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, this is Dave from Melbourne, Pasta. How are you doing?
Dave.
Fix your hair, Dave.
Oh, man, I'm having a rough day, rough week. The whole
Ah.
freaking police academy here in Florida is definitely not doing their jobs when it comes to the crazies and the addicts, and it's spilling all over the streets. But, yeah, I was calling in, we're talking about flock cameras, we're talking about the weird stuff, and Mr. Sleepy gave me a name drop on Sundimming. So good morning, Pasta. Good morning, Niko.
Good morning.
Morning,
What
morning.
are the cops supposed to do when this is the point where, once again, like, I don't know where Nico is with cops. I don't want to speak for him and stuff. I know where Fiorella is with cops.
Are you joking?
I don't want to speak for them. Well, I don't
how
want
old
to
is he?
speak for you either way. I know where you're at, but I don't want. I would have played dumb. But I mean,
Okay.
all right. So I mean, I don't want to say I have sympathy for cops, but I think there are people who join the force. They think they're doing a good thing, being part of society. And any way you look at it, whether for whatever reason they joined the police force and decided to be a cop, when it comes to our country being drugged up, being addicted, right? The pharmaceutical companies will run wild. What are policemen supposed to do with that? Like, right? I mean, like, you've heard it all the time, right? Like, oh my God, like we need more mental health officers and people who are trained in those fields. And we should, right? Like the whole flock camera thing, when I make the argument, like, police got to do their fucking job. They don't need to fucking cheat and have flock cameras. Fuck that. But I don't know exactly the situation, Dave, up by you and stuff like that. But I do know we're a society that's completely drugged up right now and addicted to all these things that we should have never been addicted to in the first place. How's a police officer supposed to handle that, Mr. Dave?
Well, and that's a good question because right here in Melbourne, Florida, which I got to in 2021, there is a carfentanil epidemic, which is fentanyl that's processed anywhere between 60 to 1,000 times stronger than regular fentanyl, which is already about 1,000 times stronger than heroin. And it's so bad that they're like actively ignoring it, even though we have a carfentanil clinic in this town. But what they did down here is they just let all the crazies go from the institutions so they could lock up more people and turn those institutions into prisons. It's really ridiculous. Like Florida is one of those places where I've seen it firsthand, especially with black men, they'll keep them in jail for fucking unpaid child support to make sure that they can't pay their child support. And those guys just get angrier and angrier because they're getting fucked over every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
it's stunning. It's really, to tell you the truth, I don't even have anything to rebuttal. They let them out because it's cheaper for the state to probably lock them up than it is to actually give them treatment, to give them a shot. And it's a business made out of it. It's fucking stunning.
Man,
man,
Florida's economy is probably 50% halfway house. So
hold on, you guys are both talking at the same time. All right. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Well, they also know that these people that are on carfentanil, if they come in physical contact with their skin, they can die of a heroin overdose themselves because it's so toxic it comes out of their skin. So while they're keeping a lid on it, and DeSantis won't even say carfentanil or acryl fentanyl, which are ravaging the area and blowing up the homeless population and killing the homeless population at the same time, they know already that before they even touch someone, they need to take a Narcan shot just in case this person's wild on heroin, because they can't be sure if this person's schizophrenic, crazy, or just wilding out on carfentanil and walking around in triangles. And this can also happen to all the local tourists as well. You try to hand somebody $1, their finger touches your finger, and next thing you know, you're having an opioid overdose just from the sweat on their finger. That's how bad it is. Yeah, that's how bad carfentanil is.
I still want to know where the hell this is coming from.
Yeah, well, there are active sites, including in China, where you can order bulk carfentanil, but Florida has strict importing laws against those specific Chinese companies for that reason. But you can buy that shit by the block from Chinese companies right now online. If you don't believe me, go look. But what's happening here is the fentanyl that they're giving out pretty much for free to old people is being processed by those people into harder forms of fentanyl to sell on the street, because nobody can get a good job unless you're a defense contractor or an ICE agent right now. Like an average office job starts at $23K. The average ICE job down here starts at like $73K. So guess where people are going?
Yeah. And that's the only reason why I think we've had a decrease, and we haven't felt it yet here in South Florida, right? A lot of immigrants just picked up and bounced. They're like, we're out of here. This is freaking nuts. And I can tell you this, how upset I was from hearing some of my mother's aides talk about, in the kitchen, talking about, all right, on the phone, I don't want to go over there. There's a bunch of cops over there. Like all of a sudden now, you're part of the community for so long, and now you're fucking under the gun because this nut job is in fucking... It has given the permission, right? Has lifted up this agency to go ahead and racially profile fucking people. Said it's okay. It's quite disgusting. And we also know, Dave and Niko, you've lived here before in Florida, that we have these laws here. We had these pain clinics, right? Like they got away with all these pain clinics. So it doesn't surprise me that there would be a carfentanil problem over here, because once again, Florida's kind of always turned a blind eye to that bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, there's a halfway house industry in Florida, in Boca Raton specifically. I know somebody who died because of fentanyl. They were clean for about a year, then, just one relapse because, and then going back after the same high, thinking that they had the same tolerance that they had before. And boom, shot up some heroin that was laced with fentanyl, died immediately. And they actually, they never even processed or prosecuted the dealer. The dealers, I know for a fact the dealer is just, at least from the last time I was in Florida, he's still on the streets. So you have to wonder how much of Florida, especially South Florida, they're dealing with this fentanyl problem because they're looking the other way on purpose to justify how much they pay these cops and how many they hire on a regular basis, right? I mean, Florida cops, y'all know, like, they make some money, dog. Like, I mean, I guess it's the same way in LA, right? Y'all, the LA cops make crazy money. San Francisco cops make crazy money. You talking about cracking 120, 130, 150K. What? For what? Doing,
I mean, in the Bay Area, you can't pay your rent there with that. So
yeah, right, true that. But it's crazy to me, man. There's an epidemic, not just in Florida, but all over the country. It's the same thing that happened with opioids, right? It's the type of thing where people just kind of look away. They don't want to address how it's being allowed to happen, because I think at that point, if you address that, then you have to accept the fact that the government is likely involved. I 100% buy that, because whatever problem they have out there in the U.S., for some reason, we don't have in Brazil. Like, there are random sometimes. Like, I mean, it's a rare thing to have a family death.
Are you suggesting that the U.S. government disseminates drugs on our streets, Niko? How?
Listen, Josh, I can't say anything with absolute certainty, but
I mean, did they ever stop? I mean, shit, come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like Trump Pasta said, Florida has strict importing laws, but for somehow we know most of these drugs are coming in through where?
Where Dave is at. Dave is about 2 hours north of where Mar-a-Lago is. So it's not too far from Trump land where this is taking place. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I live around the corner from an L3 Harris base. I live 1 mile from Melbourne Airport, 1 mile from Space Force in Melbourne. The island across from me is where Patrick Space Force Base proper is, but I live closer to the underground facility. And then Melbourne Airport is actually the backup Patrick Space Force Base as well, if you look it up. So this area specifically has a carfentanil issue for the confused people in the room. That is CAR fentanyl. If you look it up, it's a concentrated substrate, kind of like a meth for heroin. But we have an actual specific carfentanil rehab clinic here, because when people are on it, anyone they touch that doesn't have a heroin resistance can die. It comes out in your sweat as a concentrated toxin. For the people that don't believe that, you can look up the medical journals going back as far as 2013, where UK and EU nurses were getting overdosed on their own floors even just changing their gloves from dealing with carfentanil OD patients or accidentally brushing up against them because they spasm out kind of like bath salt style. They walk in triangles. Like it's harder than normal fentanyl, you know, for the layman. So yeah, you can't die on contact with a. It is. It's zombified. But the thing is, if you lend these people aid or help, you're taking your own life into your hands. So it's created a stressful societal situation where the people that know, and the people that don't are still handing out, you know, dollars to the gypsies on the boardwalks out here, you know, who work this area. What they also did out here is they have a free healthcare system, but that free healthcare system demands you get a psychiatric evaluation. And when I got mine, I was talking to the girl that evaluated me, and she admitted that psychiatric meds never help people. They increase suicides. And if I had asked for anything, you know, from benzodiazepam to Prozac to anything, I could have gotten it. And they're giving these programs to homeless people. So what are they doing? They're getting whatever drugs they can through the free healthcare program, and then they're dying on those drugs, and then their homeless friends in their encampments are getting those drugs. Do you see how the dominoes are falling here?
Yeah.
I used to do a show with Rest in Power, Shanda Master from the Roar Media Group out in Washington, and she was an ex-addict, and we did about 6 or 7 episodes, and we kind of talked about Big Pharma's relationship, you know, with patients and whatnot. Also, what they've done, you know, with their studies in different countries and using people as lab rats and just killing them off. I know we talk about a lot of problems, right, on the show. We try to find solutions. And I think we were, you know, I was just about to bring up with Niko, like the whole, all right, here come the Democrats here. They're coming back now. This is going to make their pitch. And I wanted to kind of also talk about where the right is in this country right now. And right now I used to pick on the left a lot more when Joe Biden was in office. Now I'm picking on the right because they're in power and they're just showing their true asses, right? Like they kind of came off of the populist right is different. They're pro-peace, and you know what I'm saying? They're still about the Constitution, but they're against big corporations and whatnot. Now you're not pro-peace. You're still for war. You're okay. You're cheering on your president kidnapping another, a leader from another country and justifying the shit. It's the same old shit we heard at the Thanksgiving table during the Iraq War. We're hearing now again. It's come full circle. Okay, so how do we deal with it? What's the solution? And there are things that, you know, you want to go back to the root of that. When it comes to this issue, Dave, and you've done some work on this, and now you're up in Melbourne. And by the way, Bolivia arrests MAGA's man in Latin America. We'll get to that, Citizen Pendejo. Citizen Pendejo got up and got to the show today. It's pretty awesome that he's doing that because there's a lot to talk about. But first, we're here with Dave. You're listening or watching Drive Time. If you guys want to call in, 561-247-2721. It's 561-247-2721. I know I can see there's a debate. What's up, Andrew Zigman? Hope you'll be here Friday with us, as always. I know there's a debate on the intensity of this carfentanil. Like, you know, I think there's a lot of people who are going, come on, Dave, you touch somebody's skin, whatever. All right, let's sidebar that conversation. What do we do to fix this problem? You're living right in the middle of it and whatnot. And I just mentioned cops. You're going to hand this shit over to cops. I think first of all, if we're going to solve it, I think we have to dissect how it actually starts, where the root of the problem is, and then go from there. Because am I wrong or am I right when I say that Big Pharma is to blame for this problem because they flooded doctors and told them give away their drugs, right? I mean, you can trace it back to the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, for crying out loud. But they said, give these people drugs instead of actual therapy to fix what's going on. Give them a pill. And now here's where we're at, because that pill wasn't strong enough. The next pill wasn't strong enough. Then the state told these doctors to cut people off like they did. And now they're looking on the streets for the shit that they need a fix from the initial, let's hand them the pill. Dave, I'd like to hear your problem solution method to that real quick. We don't have anybody in the queue, so you got a little time to open up your sea legs and let us know. You're watching Drive Time. This is Dave from Melbourne calling in.
So the solution for a lot of this, especially the opioid epidemic, is hemp and THC development, specifically for ointments that reverse rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, seizures, chronic pain, anything from tight skin to stretch marks to healing bones and healing nerves. That would actually solve a lot if people just filled up drones with hemp seeds and started creating their own industries in America, while simultaneously using that hemp to pull all the poisons out of the soil that are being put in there daily by our own governments. Literally using the reinforcement tools they're trying to poison us with to create a stronger hemp industry than the world's ever seen. We could totally do that right now. In fact, Masaru Emoto, Doctor of Water, 2 weeks before his tragic passing, put out a video about how planting hemp along the California coast would completely neutralize the radiation coming from Fukushima and pull it out of there, and it would grow super fast, so you just have to continually harvest it. Then he passed away. So right now, we're in like 100 years of drug suppression, because until 1932, unless you had hemp or THC products in your agricultural trade, you couldn't do agricultural trades. You can look that up as a law. And 3 years after our stock exchange crashes, because we started funding Nazis, suddenly they just banned hemp out of nowhere. Then they created the Dust Bowl to destroy most of our crops, and now we use pesticides that definitely poison us and warp our DNA with these biomodified foods. So going back to the hemp point, if everyone started planting hemp in any forests, or just dropping them from drones and letting what grew, we could have our own concrete, our own healing ointments, and no longer be reliant on big pharma to make the poison that our government is somehow okay with. Like, they banned these ads for these dangerous side effects in 2016 through an act of Congress, and it hasn't stopped big pharma at all. They're illegal, and they're still on every TV station. They still come up as pop-up ads on YouTube and Rumble, telling you, hey, poison yourself, make your depression, may cause anal bleeding, take your chances. No, we are a law society in that sense. And for the sake of my generation, I'll admit where Gen X fucked up is we didn't stop the Ritalin and the Adderall when we had the chance, and we didn't stop the Prozac and the mind pills that are making all these kids crazy and mentally destabilized now. Yeah. And it's
can I get into this conversation real quick? Dave, let me jump in really quick, because I just want to, before we get, because you're providing a lot of good information out there too as well. And listen, if you guys want to call in and talk, you want to rebut, that's cool. Please do so. We encourage that here. We're adults having good conversations. At least that's what I like to think we are, right? If there's any non-adults out there watching the show, thank you for watching. But anyways, look, I think it's been known for quite some time. Those of us who talked about hemp, right? We've talked about marijuana. We've talked about THC. We talk about like it's an alien plant, right? There's so much that plant could fix when it comes to suppressing pain, right? And it doesn't have the side effects that your opioids have and whatnot. And there's also so much it could do to really hurt the cotton and lumber industry, which is not really just meant to hurt the cotton and lumber industry. But, I mean, if we can cut down less trees out there, we can have more oxygen on the planet. I think that's a good thing. And I don't know why.
Because hemp grows faster than trees do.
I don't know why that's a problem. So we understand what this thing can do. But, Dave, you did mention something. I want you to address also. We have a substitution for pain, and I get it. When we did the show, it was called To Hell and Back. That was the name of the show we did. We did like a series. We did like 6 of them talking about pharmaceutical drugs. A lot of the times, Dave, somebody would go to the doctor, their back would be pulled out, their ankle would be messed up, and it would be a situation where they would be like, okay, I'm in pain, and they would be given a pain pill. But we have a lot of doctors now prescribing these medications for mental issues. So we got a lot of people getting addicted to these drugs, not from pain, right? But from mental issues. How do we because it seems like we'll be, as soon as we catch on, the citizenry, the people, all right, we know, okay, let's go. You're in a state that has legalized marijuana. I don't have to take those hard pills anymore. I can smoke a bowl or take an edible, or I can get some balm and I can put it on my area, and I don't have to take that. Yeah, it might not be as potent as the other stuff, but it's going to help. It's a good fill-in situation.
Shit, them edibles, man.
The fact that Big Pharma's got ahead of us, and now they're pushing the doctors to prescribe stuff for mental issues. And if Niko's got something to say real quick before you jump in, Dave.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to say, like, I know that maybe the smoking may not be as potent, but like those edibles, for example, are them things. Listen, my grandma, before she passed away, I actually switched her to edibles so she would stop taking her pain medication so we could reduce the risk of strokes. And she said that was actually the first time that she had not felt her hips hurting because she was taking the medication because of a post hip surgery and the surgery basically never healed up correctly. And the sad part is that the reason that she ended up getting a stroke is because she had a stroke before and she was forgetful, and she took the medicine that was prescribed to her before because the edible ran out, and she started feeling the pain again. And now the doctor actually wasn't even supposed to prescribe that to her. We took her off the medicine. I went to the doctor's office with her that day to make sure she wouldn't get those pills again. And the pain when she was on edibles, she didn't take those pills for I want to say damn near 2 months. And then the day that she ran out of edibles, she took them. My mom didn't realize that she took the pills or even had the pills. Nobody did. And she died of a stroke. So that's just one example of how these natural solutions can be far better, and it doesn't just mask the pain. And I don't even know how to describe, but I think that most of you all know what I'm trying to say when I'm like, you take some medicine, especially in the United States, if you're taking it there, like, and it's just masking the pain. But, in the case of edibles, if you get the right one, the pain actually does go away and it reduces the inflation. You're healing your body. You're not just masking it and waiting to take a pill the next day. So quickly, the pharmaceutical industry is frustrating for a number of reasons. And as far as hemp is concerned, when you talk to people about hemp, especially a few years ago, the first thing they'll say is, but isn't that weed? You're not going to get hot, huh? Because I didn't know that hemp was associated with weed until later. I started seeing it in the shampoo and everything. I'm like, okay, it feels good. And then I found out later, like, no, it's because of weed. I'm like, but those two things aren't really related outside of like the plant itself. That's what they said. Go ahead.
We do have a caller in the queue, so I do want to get Dave to wrap it up and give him the last 90 seconds, Dave, once Niko finishes his statement. But, me and Niko, we've studied and tested hemp together, so we know, for the patient. We did it for the patients out there, so we can pass it on. That OG Kush is the best for back pain.
Yeah.
Dave, take the last 90 seconds and put a bow on it.
Go ahead, Dave.
So when I first moved to Colorado, they legalized 6 months later. And we had people moving from all over the country. We had a mass exodus to our state, people willing to live in their cars just so their children wouldn't be having 15 to 55 seizures every day. So because they could get, recreational THC ointments that could stop those seizures and those life-destroying activities. So they would rather live in their cars in the cold and make sure their kids didn't have seizures than watch them suffer in a state that didn't allow it. THC is healing ointment if you do it right. RSO can reverse rheumatoid arthritis, to brow furrowing, remove those headaches. It ultimately is a healing plant. And the suppression of it is rooted in the fact that they want us unhealthy and genetically vulnerable. So one of the things about opioids that gets in your bones cause osteoporosis, which then makes you rely on the stuff more. And it's a sliding scale. That's how you ended up with methadone clinics in the 80s and 90s, and those didn't end well. So these carfentanil clinics are
those are still around.
Yep. We need to get away from this where, we're substituting drugs. We live in a recognized poison society. Unfortunately, people are waking up en masse, especially to geoengineering, sun dimming, Project Bluebeam. If you ask anybody, in the most common restaurant, they know there's a plot against them now. And it's right now just a matter of galvanizing everyone together with these common sense solutions like THC and hemp, which should be free for everyone. And we can have our own industries again with it off the petrodollar. That's what they're terrified of. And anybody that kind of fights that agenda seems pretty sus. Like, you don't want to heal the planet. Like, you don't want peace of mind and end to those headaches and that aching back and that degenerative disc disease. Like, why not? Like, you're going to trust technology and the people that poison us for this? No, not the best bet. But, there'll always be detractors. That's why we have people like you guys, and I appreciate what you stand for. Always have, always will. So let's just keep standing together on that and maybe push hemp as an industry. And if you're feeling wild, grab a little box, fill it with hemp seeds, fly a drone over a forest or a forested area and let the hemp grow. You can do whatever you want with it. Turn it into anything.
We'd like to say that the callers of the show aren't there necessarily the opinions of the co-host and the host, especially when they say fly hemp seeds everywhere. But if you want to do that, go ahead and do so. Wink, wink. Dave, I love when you call on in. Listen, I don't give a shit. I don't want to say I don't give a shit. Like, we can have a discussion about, I think a lot of people were saying the carfentanil. Wait, man, come on. You can't touch somebody and die and whatnot. Let me say this much.
Yes,
and you can go research it, look it up like he said. I know for a fact that fentanyl and opioids are bad. They are no good, and they are not necessary sometimes. Now, they are necessary for people with big pain, but once again, we were talking other solutions, and I think that no matter how you dice it up or slice it up, it's a bad situation, and we're in the situation because the ruling class wants to keep us in this situation, right? A drugged up, scared society is an easy society to control. Dave, thank you for calling in. We're going to get to the next caller, and I appreciate you, and we can now talk about solutions. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Dave.
Thanks for having me.
Always.
Thanks, Niko.
Always. And we can talk about those other things, right? But we got to acknowledge that this is a serious problem in this fucking country, right? And I thought we were going to get somewhere when that fat, Krispy Kreme donut-eating son of a bitch, Chris Christie, talked about it on stage at the Republican primary when he was running for president, I think in 2016. I was like, okay, I don't like this guy at all, but at least he's talking about something. And he was kind of, I thought, he brought it to the table where Republicans had the kind of the Nancy Reagan saying, just say no, where he said, well, now we can talk about it. And I'm going to let you guys jump in. I know you got a lot to say, Niko, Sleepy J, all you in the chat. I love you. But let's bring the next caller in. Let's get that person rocking and rolling. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Oh, this is Dread Pirate Roberts.
From where?
It's Wesley.
From Florida. You're not picking up on the movie.
Florida. I'm trying to get
Claremont. I've said that before.
I know you have. I just forgot.
That Florida sun get him up early, man.
Wesley, man, he's hanging out. Wesley, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. A little pushback on Dave's whole hemp seed everywhere thing is that you got to segregate your crops or you're going to crossbreed a weaker strain of THC bearing plants. So don't drop that shit everywhere. You'll piss people off.
Hold on. You said
strategically placed, it says Wesley.
Hold on. Say that one more time. I want to make sure I heard that correctly.
You don't want to crossbreed like a weak hemp with a good strain of marijuana because then you
yeah. I thought
you get a bunch of seedy nasty shit.
You don't want the weak shit. We want the chronic, Niko.
I thought that he said if we just drop it anywhere, then we might end up with the good strain of THC. I was like, well, I don't see what the
No.
We want the
you're gonna get that
potent.
You're gonna get that seedy shit like we got in the 90s.
Potent.
Yeah, that's Nebraska. So
you don't mix. What Wesley's saying is you don't mix OG Kush with swag. Come on now.
Yeah,
no way. Exactly.
You don't do that.
So aside from that, another point that Dave brought up was the Dust Bowl and everything. And there was a fungal spread that happened, the black rust. And we in the U.S. actually had to change our wheat crops to something that was found in Russia that could survive that particular strain of fungus or whatever. So that was then, they had to change the whole milling industry and everything because of it. And so that was the 30s. And it was a problem, but it definitely was a thing that was, funguses have spread. The Black Plague was a fungus. It was not spread by fleas. There was a short dark period after the Roman Prima era that, everyone then no longer had iron supply because their crops weren't growing that well. There was no citrus, so they all had scurvy. And then you add a fungal disease that they can no longer defend against, and that's a problem. So that was the Black Plague. It's a fungal thing.
Yeah.
Is that why I never? Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Black Plague never actually. There's no recorded mass cases of Black Plague in Africa, right?
I don't know, but there is still some up in like Colorado. Like it's supposed to be in the prairie dog population somewhere up there, but it is also in up like the highlands of Russia, wherever there's some other places where there's some muskrats or whatever that have it, because it basically lives in their snouts as they burrow through the fungal dirt. You know, it's like it's basically like valley fever or anything like that. Those are all like dirt-borne funguses that are a problem. And so
I guess that tracks.
Interesting enough is that then they had the World War II or World War One came around. They were using mustard gas, which it's a mutagen. So you have these guys living for years out in the fields of France and whatever, fighting, digging holes, dying, mud everywhere. And then you add mustard gas, which is a mutagen. Like you're actually trying to like turn dirt fungus into another variant of Black Plague. It's almost like they were looking to restart the Black Plague in World War One.
All I gotta say is that y'all are firing Stacy up this morning. Stacy's in the chat. You fired up, Stacy. Stacy, you got to call on in. But how do we get to Black Plague?
If you feel so strongly.
So you were getting to make a point, Wesley from Florida. Get to that point. Go ahead, Bubba. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, well, that was just it. I mean, a lot of people just look at the history of what's going on, and it's not quite like, there's a lot of false history out there. The fact that, and I think even that after the Roman Prima, the Dark Ages came, it was a cold period. And I almost think that was what the whole, the Hadrian's Wall was about, was to keep people immigrating south as they got colder up north and their crops were failing. And I think that was a big part of what Hadrian's Wall was to keep the people, let them starve up there. They're not Rome's problem kind of thing. And so, people will say that, they're the lost tribe of Israel. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Because that was actually, if you really go through history, you got to look at the Gauls and the Vandals, and they came from Prague and that whole area, which controlled the Vatican for a large period of time, was like the Prussian royals or whatever, the German royal families. And then they moved down and went down, and then they invaded Tunisia, and then there was a whole, it goes back and forth. But if the Jews were there before 600 AD, then why would the German language be based on Hebrewic letters? You see what I'm saying? Like the letters themselves tell you what's going on. So it's in the alphabet. Anyways, and so the valley that these people came from, my people, I'm from there originally, my great-grandparents, whatever. So there's the Sleek River, right? And so there's even a song about being from the wrong side of the river, which was basically the wrong side of the tracks at that point. And these people came, and they were from the Sleek Valley, which is the moist or wet valley. And they're basically, it's where the word sleazy came from. These sleazy people that was a derivative of what to call people from that area. It was the slang, and so there's that's the history of languages is interesting, but the sleazy people was basically another name for those folks that ended up being the Roman army for a while. It was the Germans. So that was kind of that whole valley there's a history. There's a lot of history out there. And, knights going back and forth and fighting in both directions during all sorts of stuff. So,
I think when he was bringing that stuff up, right, we were trying to get to a place about where you live in Florida and the issues we have with fentanyl, whatnot, addiction issues in Florida, and it's a thing. Do you notice a lot of addiction issues over by you right now, or? I mean, the people in the streets. And I live in sunny Boca Raton, so it's not in our face.
I grew up in Seattle, and I've lost several friends to addictions and homelessness and other problems. So, some that were ex-Marines and whatnot. So, yeah. But anyways, other homework. I don't know if you're
Okay.
familiar with Dre Dossier, her work on YouTube. She did a thing on the Trump ballroom and how it's actually a medical center. It's like a 28-minute video, and it's the whole.
I thought it was a
she
data
brings
center
her
underneath.
secret. Yeah, it's a data center, but it's a medical data center because of all. If you look at the companies that are paying for it and what they're getting, it's a whole combined system. But then they're not keeping all these things. It's flock. It's all the things that they're combining are going to hook together. They're not going to segregate them. That was, what Musk
Yeah,
was
makes no
about.
sense.
And
So
no,
anyway,
that's what Palantir's about. They want to link all this
Yeah.
shit.
Exactly. And if you look at, remember the video where Ivanka Trump dropped the bomb that she was thinking about buying that island? She's drinking out of an Axion AI coffee mug, FYI. That's an interesting little clip to look up.
Well, they're
That was
invested in
like
it.
they're invested in it, but the whole scene, like that was they were trying to like soft serve that thing and didn't. I mean, that was such a fake and scripted little interview, and it still was like it's weird that they're like trying. I don't know what they're trying to do. That they want pushback, though. I think they definitely. They want reasons to get the defenses that they're claiming that they deserve. So it's kind of weird that way, but.
Well, flock is kind of like Q-tip, right? Like where it's really a cotton swab, but you call it a Q-tip. They're going to call those cameras flock. But the thing is that I do think there's a push to get rid of the flock cameras because the Axion cameras are more hidden. So people won't know they're being surveilled, right? And that's what they want to get to. So there'll be a good balance of both of them.
They probably are filming the flock cameras as like, here, cut this down, and filming you cutting it down with a different camera that you don't see. So I don't, there's.
And then the state had to pay for both contracts, and there's a money grab on both sides, Yeah,
but they short their stock. They're, they go up through BlackRock and they short it on the other side, and they get paid either way. The whole thing, these people, it's a rigged casino. It's a casino, and it's rigged, and there's cameras. And speaking of the cameras and casinos and the connection to both the Vegas shooting and all that other stuff is that if you go back in time, the first facial recognition and tracking of people was in casinos. And there were teams from MIT that were trying to steal at blackjack being tracked from casino to casino through the video cameras. So all this software and all this stuff goes right back to the Ellison family and the casino industry and MGM and what is it? What's the properties that Trump used to be the head of, and then Epstein was the head of. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, what you talking about? A company, or are you talking about a certain piece of property?
Well, it was a front company they called it a painting company, but it's like Resort International, I think, or something like that. And then Epstein was in charge of it for a little while. It was a front company offshore for the CIA. And then now this other girl that's like, supposedly like his little tag along. What's her name? Harp. Her dad was in charge of that. That's where he worked from. So like he died, and it's all part of the same little, Hotel International is where they do their whatever that hotel properties. I don't know, whatever that particular organization is, it's all part of the same thing. It's all the front. And then of course there was the other guy that opened up all the marinas for all the super yachts. He's also part of it and a good friend of Epstein, and it's all connected. So, when you start to like pinhole anything, you got to zoom way back out and be like, well, how does this little feature of what they're doing over here, how does that play into their whole game? Because you can't just look at the knight on the chessboard. You got to look at all the pieces all the time.
Yeah. And just looking where, we were talking about, I was speaking to Jason Burmis, Jason Burmis will probably be joining us, hopefully, for 9/11. Obviously, he's one of the old school 9/11 truther people. we were just talking about where Trump came from, because I haven't done the Wanted for a while. I thought a lot of the people in the Trudeau movement kind of like they lean more conservatively, and they were trying to kind of like saying, well, what areas are more positive with Joe Biden. And I mean, Alex Jones is still saying like, Niko House, if the election were here today, I'd still vote for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. You can't put these globalist, evil Kamala Harris people in charge, so we're gonna have to suffer with Donald Trump. They're still kind of selling that bullshit out there. But
it's like you can't put the globalists in charge.
Good.
So let's vote for the globalist.
Yes. If you look where Donald Trump came from, right? Who was his mentor, right? Roy Cohn. So I mean, he's been in these circles for quite some fucking time, dude. He's been bred for this fucking moment. To think he's some type of outsider that gives a damn about you, forget about it. He doesn't give a shit about you. He never has.
But hey, bro, it's 5D chess pasta. The ultimate outsider is the biggest insider, dog. You're not understanding the vision. Like, you got to be smarter than the average bear to get it.
What, Dave?
There's the people in New York make fun of the bridge and tunnel people. Well, he's always been a helicopter boy his whole life. So, people who were like, he's one of us. No, he's never been one of you. Ever, ever, ever in his whole life. And if you look at the buildings he did in Atlantic City and the way those people that he were suing him for breach of contract or conflict of interest died in a helicopter crash, there's a lot going on there. But there was also money laundering for the Philippines and for Imelda Marcos and all it's all the stuff. If you trace it back, you got to go back behind Trump a whole generation and then the generation before that. And then you start to see how things hook together. And you really gotta because these people there's a pile of money and they're in charge of it, but the money pile has its own interests and its own group of people that are interested in it.
Yeah.
I mean, another interesting way to look at it is look at the slave trade and who was building the clipper ships and the clippers, and which are special built, and the people that are stored in the clipper ships are locked down by a chain called a blockchain, and they made $2 billion back in the day selling slaves, and that's $2 billion in 1700 era dollars. So that's a lot of money, and that money never went away.
You're not saying that.
Still big business.
You're not saying there's a resemblance between blockchain and blockchain technology today.
It's complete when
blockchain today is just a tool.
Not Ron DeSantis. No, it's totally intentional. They think they're being funny, like people wouldn't pick up on it, but when Newsom said that he wanted to honor the slave whatever people in the state of California, blah 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 blah, he was laughing, thinking, I'm going to get them to put their chains back on. That's what that was. That was him having a laugh because he thinks he's of the upper crust, and he is, right? And his brother-in-law has C3 AI, which is another subdivision of the whole, and Lori France.
But blockchain is just a tool, right? Like today, blockchain. I mean,
it's an immutable ledger that's public.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just
it's a track and trace system.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a public ledger. I mean it's if you think your buddy's not gonna be able to be traced through that shit, I got a bridge to sell you, cash only.
Yeah, it's all part of the plan, and they can get to any one of you, and that's people don't. You got to look back in history because these people make references and do all sorts of stuff, thinking they're funny, and they show you their cards. So
that's very true.
Anyway,
he's right about that.
It's just this is a good good comment here. It's a decentralized
Yeah.
digital
So it's a
database.
decentralized
That's
digital
exactly
database.
what
I was
it
looking
is.
at it. Yeah. Um,
So but yeah, people. I mean, who's the biggest holder of Bitcoin?
Who
it's
is
gotta
now?
One
be.
of the
and Trump
Is it
biggest.
just got
Trump now? Or?
The U.S.
Is it Trump
government.
now?
Oh, the
No,
U.S.
it's the
Oh
U.S.
yeah, I
government.
figured. Yeah, we
Yeah,
knew that was
So-
coming.
well, and Trump just got a bank.
Yeah.
He's just got FDIC approval through judges he controls or whatever, like
Yeah.
FDIC approval or something like that.
This
It's
is why I don't
all
trust.
there
I don't
pulling
trust
the back.
crypto though, because the government's already got their fingers in it. So
But you know they
Bitcoin
so
already
they
just went
didn't
up
at
in
first,
price.
Josh. They were trying to convince the world that crypto was bad, that it was fake money, that it didn't have any value. And I remember I specifically read a Wall Street Journal article about this, and it was what was funny was it was J.P. Morgan, somebody from J.P. Morgan explaining why crypto and Bitcoin will never work. So you know what I did? I went and bought some Bitcoin immediately after that. Literally, I was like, why would Wall Street Journal take the time to say this? Unless
Right.
they're trying to bullshit, and that's literally what happened. Because, like you said, shortly after, the U.S. government became the largest holder in Bitcoin. The very thing they told us was valueless.
And I get, look, and we got another caller in the queue, so we have to get it to her. I'm going to give Dave a little time to put a bow on stuff, but Dave, at the end of the day,
No,
when you look at Bitcoin versus the American dollar, there is something that's really, I think it's a learning experience for people because we don't get taught how money works in school, right? We don't get, we don't learn any of that shit. They don't want us knowing that. They just want us knowing you got to get it, you got to make it to spend it, whatever, yada. Everything from after its inception. But the way they're able to just print more money, you know what I'm saying, as compared to, all right, there's a set amount of money that's going to be made, right? And we understand that. There's a learning experience there, isn't there? What I'm trying to say is Dave and Wesley, right? So how do we, and there's a question to both of you guys, and I know you're in the chat, Dave. How do we, you said blockchain, and you compared it to like the chains that we use for, the slave trade, whatnot, and the resemblance and everything like that. But blockchain is, and I get that you can say it can be used for track and trace, but it's still a ledger that could be used for good. Like in the election system, blockchain can be used in a proper way. It could be a valuable tool. How do we not let the initial or the original intent from the ruling class or the oligarchs desecrate something or disgrace something that could be used in a proper way? There's still learning lessons.
I don't know that. I don't know that it can't be hacked and changed and altered. I mean, that's all hearsay. It's have faith in this digital chain. All right. I'm like, I have no faith
I mean,
in any
it's more
digital chain.
complicated. It's more complicated than that. When things change in that specific type of thing, you can tell it's changed. So it's
Blockchain is pretty. It's pretty
that's
solid.
The point. That's the point of it. It's very obvious if something
guys,
gets changed.
Yeah. Okay. That
It
doesn't
is. I've
mean
I've looked at the code, man.
So-
That is what it is.
So Wes,
that doesn't mean they
in
won't
reference to
claim the right
currency,
to change it.
so in reference to currency, if blockchain was used in a situation where we have a centralized digital currency, right? In that context, very specifically, I do understand what you're saying. It could be problematic, but the technology of blockchain isn't limited to currency. And that's what we're trying to say. It's like in a situation where we're trying to trace elections, we want it to be public and open and track every single step of a vote being cast and counted, right? If it got taken away, if it was added, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like that's basically what we're trying to say is like in that context of you're speaking about 100% correct, but also blockchain isn't only used and it's also literally blocked and chained because it's like blocking, saving it and chaining it, showing us the next step.
We do have somebody in the queue, so Wesley, take the last 60 seconds, put a bow on it, and always thank you for calling in, brother.
Right on. Well, I think when it comes to elections, the election location is key, and if you could drop pennies in jars, a fish tank or whatever, people watch what you're dropping in, and you could have it on scales, and people can know the thing. You could count the pennies at the end and everything. So there's both a public and private ledger of that they can't immediate. Like that stays at the voting booth and everyone can see where the votes went, at least for the officials that are being elected. And there's more to it, but I would definitely suggest check out the Dre dossier, 28-minute ballroom video, because that is a mind blower.
Link
Oh,
it
my
in the
goodness.
chat if you can. If
That
you
was
can do that for us, please. If there's a YouTube
I'm
video,
probably not. I'm not.
That's all right. We'll find
Yeah.
it. We'll find it.
Right on.
Wesley,
Right on. Anyways,
hope
have
to
a
meet
good
you
one.
in person soon.
all right. Take care, brother. Peace.
We
Later,
won't
Niko.
be
Later.
we
Sweetie.
won't be partaking in a weak blend of cannabis of hemp out there at all. It will not be a weak blend. Let me just say that much.
Well, I'm off my game, so it's probably fine.
Well, I'm on mine. Don't worry about it. Love you, brother. Peace out.
All right.
Wesley from Florida, guys. Give us a call, 561-247-2721. That's 561-247-2721. I think he took away the wrong
I'm working
thing
on
there.
it. I'm working.
Yeah. Let's get your Mountain Dew, pal. We do have a caller, but I got to get some coffee refill, right? So this is like where I want the commercial to hit and take 5-6 minutes, and we'll figure this out. But caller, did we lose it?
No, I just answered it.
Oh, perfect. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Russ up in White Plains again.
Russ, you are
What's going
now
on, Russ?
becoming a regular.
Well, yeah, a neochronic, according to your calibration. Hey, I'm sorry. I do like to hit it and quit it. Not really have the good conversations that you have, because I'm watching this neurodivergent live chat you have. It's kind of hard for me to follow this whole show, but I'm learning. But I wanted to make a point first that as a MAGA Marxist, I'm like a Bernie bro that's gone bad. I voted for the worser of two evils, not the lesser of two evils. I voted for Trump twice. But that young man Niko there, he seems to have a lot of expertise, and I've been thinking he was talking about blockchain, and what is the connection between blockchains and data centers? Is there computing power connected to wealth? Is there a connection between data centers and cryptocurrency that they're planning to cash in? And if you don't mind, Craig, can I just hang up and let someone else call in? Is that all right?
You can do whatever you want, Russ. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot.
Of course, Russ. We appreciate you
Thanks
calling
for-
in.
So
All right, thanks for your help.
most of the Bitcoin stuff, they need pretty much dedicated centers for that, because they use different hardware. It's not normal computing hardware. So it's basically just a shitload of kind of like they're not graphics cards anymore. They're specialized hardware for it. So you need that
you
much
used to do it on
room to
houses.
do it. But I mean, these are things that eat so much power. They got to have their own. Like you've got Bitcoin companies that set up buildings and they buy like hydroelectric plant next to it to power it, for instance. So like it's not, you can't just slap all that stuff in a normal data center just because the amount of heat those things put out. So they're separate data centers, but yeah, they're separate data centers, but it's the same shit.
Yeah. But talk about the correlation between coins and data centers and whatnot, because they do definitely want to put you on what do you call it, the UBI of sorts, but do it through a central bank digital currency, right? And obviously,
you'd have to have mining, and you'd have to have data centers that are mining. If they do that, they're going to have mining setups, full ass data centers for that.
But yeah, I don't think they would be
have
the
another call.
same as like the AI data centers, because you couldn't put those two together. That would be an insane amount of power that they would need.
But
Like-
but before we get to the next caller, there is something Russ from White Plains, and thank you for calling it. He called the chat neurodivergent, right? Like he's.
I mean, I feel like the fair description.
It's an intense chat over there, but we got some softballs. I don't know how it is on the Rumble chat, because it only leaks in stuff from the Rumble. Maybe the Rumble might be more your flavor, Russ. But when it comes to this fourth industrial revolution, they definitely want to tag and tie your income, right, to their central bank digital currencies. It's all going to be connected. Everything's digital. They want to have the ability to control your power, to control your finances. So if you're being a bad boy, they can turn off your finances, right?
Turn off the faucet.
15-minute cities. It's all connected. The fourth industrial revolution, the Great Reset, is about track and trace, mass surveillance, because they understand the greatest threat to their empire is the citizen, the everyday person. It's their own citizen. So they gotta fool us. They gotta confuse us. They gotta pit us against each other. And meanwhile, Donald Trump was the person to usher in the Great Reset and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I think we know now how dangerous this guy's presidency was, because he gets people to buy into the ultimate form of confirmation bias. That's my guy. That's my team. I support Donald Trump. I mean, this guy worse than Bernie Sanders, Niko. I mean, I thought that Barack Obama had a, hero worshiping following cult to the likes that no one's ever seen. And Donald Trump came along and said, hold my beer. Let's grab the next caller real quick. We'll get into it, by the way.
I do want to
Right,
piggyback off that real quick. For one, I think that, you could probably argue that they're probably in the same boat, but Obama probably still takes the cake because he's still widely popular amongst Democrats, whereas Trump isn't even that popular amongst Republicans. He has a cult, like it's a legitimate cult. It's just a cult where he's been able to put people in high places to maintain some sort of legitimacy when in reality he's really unpopular. The other thing I want to say is there's a lot of a good point that Pasa made about just using centralized currency and what they're trying to do as far as freezing and tracking and things like that. Because in the case of Bitcoin, for example, even though that's probably one of the freest currencies, they were somehow able to freeze Iran's Bitcoin assets, and they knew it was Iran. And to this day, I don't even know how they know that and how they knew. They're buying. Iran did their due diligence when they were buying these cryptocurrencies and or Bitcoin, and still the U.S. was able to freeze. The U.S. was able to freeze
Means it's
Iran's
not anonymous.
Bitcoin asset.
Not anonymous.
But you know what I'm saying? It wasn't anonymous, but you know what I'm saying? But like the U.S. can freeze Iran's Bitcoin assets.
Yeah.
Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That I don't trust the whole system.
Yeah.
Let's introduce the caller, please.
I have a feeling I know who this caller is. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
I think you do. This is Andrew. I just wanted to call in and say hi to Niko. I haven't talked to him in like forever. So,
It's Andrew Zigman.
Andrew Zigman, our
What's
Friday
good, bro?
co-host.
how you been, buddy?
Man, you're real quiet, Andrew.
You guys say hi. I'm going to
Sorry,
refill my
phone
coffee. I'll be right back.
But so Niko, I wanted to ask you something because we're looking at AOC running for president here soon, right? Or at least like gearing up to try to run for president.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering what you think we can do to stop her, right? Because like we're like us as like a collective, and like more specifically you, but also me, are kind of like responsible for her in a way. Like you know what I mean, but.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if you had any ideas on how we could prevent her from becoming president or even running.
I don't know if we can stop her from running. I don't think we can stop her from running, but I think the first and most important step is let OC open her goddamn mouth. That'd be the first step, and just let her dig her hole. And then we just fill it in with the dirt that she's left for us. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like she's going to get that initial push from the media. Right now, for some reason, they're opposed to have Kamala in first place. And I believe that is actually probably more proof that AOC is going to run, because they're trying to protect her from any negative publicity before her run starts. In the same way that we saw Kamala insulated before she ran for office. So the best thing that we can do is really just continue to tell the truth about her and linking the patterns that we've seen between her, Mamdani, El Said. I know he hasn't won anything yet, but just the consistency of getting into power and then betraying the movement. And then it's like also reminding people like, okay, if she was a legitimate threat to the establishment, the moment she gets in, it's not going to matter anymore because she'll sell us out. That's all we have ever seen from the evidence that we've had provided to us so far. The only exception to that rule has been Kashama Swan. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it right now, man. We just gotta kind of stay on top of her now, keep calling her out before she even starts running for office, and keep the receipts.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But I'm just worried that it's going to be like AOC versus JD Vance, and there's not going to be an actual like there never is, but you know what I mean. There's not going to be that like third party even aspect anymore, because it's not like Jill Stein's old enough to be president at this point, and there's no one else with like legitimate name recognition except maybe like Tucker, but that would be fucking just as bad as JD Vance, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I could honestly see Butch Ware probably throwing in his hat for a third party run. Maybe Kushama Swan, especially because they've both been a little bit more public in executive office and federal office. So their name recognition is probably about as good as like a Jill Stein, for example. But outside of that, you know, I don't think that AOC will be allowed to get past the Democratic primary because even though she's controllable, she doesn't know how to shut her mouth, and she could give false hope. And even though they like candidates like AOC that they can't control, they also don't like giving people false hope. I don't believe that they would have let Bernie win even if he got past the Democratic primary, right? Because we know both sides cheat. I mean, we probably witnessed this in Florida recently with Dan Bilzerian. I don't like the guy, but I mean, the man had votes taken from him 10 minutes later, right? Like one vote count, and then it was reduced by like thousands. So they both cheat. So they're not going to even, in my opinion, they're not going to let her even get past the primary. They're just going to let her, I guess, play the controlled opposition role that they let Bernie play, that they let Mike. Oh man, y'all don't be mad at me. Mike, who am I talking about? Posse? Mike Gravel, exactly. R.I.P. to Mike. You know what I'm saying? They're going to let her play her role, but I think it's also important that we use that opportunity. And I would carry on with this. It isn't even about stopping her from winning because I don't think they'll let her because she's too stupid. So there's that. But we can use that opportunity to point to how the deep state, the establishment, whatever you want to call it, uses people like AOC to take our energy, our focused energy away from getting tangible gains in our movement and then focusing that on DSA bullshit candidates like AOC, like Mamdani, like El Said, instead of
COINTELPRO.
COINTELPRO, and instead of focusing on people like the Butch Ware situation, where not only was he a great candidate, but he got cheated. The court admitted that the Democrats lied and cheated and falsified evidence, and there has been not a single sound of outrage from the Hassan Pikers of the world. Like the AOC situation, as crazy as it sounds, is going to be a great opportunity for us to point out all of that and reference all the times that third parties have cheated, that both parties have worked together to cheat those outside parties, and how our energy has been sucked up and used for nefarious purposes by people who claim to be our allies.
Yeah. Lindell might throw his hat in the ring, by the way, Bob of Atlantis, and I think we can't leave out the fact that right now on Kalshi, the top three candidates, and they're all neck and neck, is now John Ossoff has taken a small 1% lead. I'm laughing my Ossoff from Atlanta, right? He's now taking a small lead. He had this big speech. Somebody shared it with me the other day. I'm like, and the guy's a Zionist cuck, took over $1 million, close to $1 million from AIPAC I believe I don't know if it was the last campaign, but he's definitely taking that AIPAC money. Right behind him is AOC. I think it's like 16% chance for Ossoff, 15% chance for AOC, and 15% chance for Gavin Newsom and that handsome hair. They're a team. They run together, that Gavin Newsom and his hair. But those right now are your choices. And then this is something I wanted to talk about today, right? Are they really the lesser of two evils that's still being sold by the Katie Halpers and the Aaron Mateys? I don't know if Aaron Matei is still there. He once was, but Katie Halper, the Rania Kalick, Kyle Kalinske is obviously right. I think Kyle Kalinske is more about like pushing him as the Democrats are going to get more positive things, whereas if some of the other people are still kind of back to that, the lesser of two evils.
He's more into frosting his tips, dude.
Yeah, well, he's on point. He don't let them rules show. He don't let them rules show at all.
Don't be fucking with those tips.
Hey, listen, when you married to a multimillionaire, dog, you got a little bit more time on your hands.
Don't be hating him.
I can't take that guy
seriously. Hating on the white man because what he do in the bedroom and stuff. Stop that. There's a reason why she married him. But they are coming back. Look, I've seen people on both sides, right? Caleb Maupin, who's a friend of mine, right? And I love the guy. And he just had
one of the most intelligent human beings I have ever met in my life, bro.
But he's still, and that's a funny that you bring it up. And I'm glad we have Andrew here, and Andrew will be here Friday, of course, here at Drive Time. Intelligence is one thing. Ego comes into play. Mm-hmm. Caleb Maupin has been attacked by the left in this country, the American synthetic left, so much that he's probably leaned into, the kind of like the Trumps were the lesser of two evils at one point. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was in Minnesota with him when shit went down, and he is still scorned by what the left has done to him. And that happens sometimes, and it makes people go, okay, I'm going to still. And I would tell him, I said, listen, I still, as much as I cannot stand the Democratic Party because I don't believe it's a leftist party, I believe they're occupying the space where the left is. The actual left in this country, as shallow as they can be sometimes, still got in the street for Gaza and the Palestinians, still got in the street in Minnesota to be anti-ICE and be pro-immigrant and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I can see why some of these Democrats will still try to make the argument in the podcast world, in the independent media world. I still see while they'll try to make the argument that the Democrats are the lesser of two evils, even though they really don't want Medicare for all. They still speak that lying language out there.
Or rather, they'll make the argument that the left has a better chance. What they always say, the left has a better chance of surviving under the Democratic Party, which is like a pretty shit metric of success. It's like, oh, we have a better chance. And my opinion is actually the opposite. The left is stronger now under the Republican Party and more aware and more conscious now under the Republican Party than it was when Biden was in power. Because all those motherfuckers who sat in front of my goddamn face and argued with me for hours, telling me that I was crazy for thinking that a segregationist sex pest was not fit to run office as he failed his way to the top, after he showed us that while starting a genocide. All of a sudden they...
Niko, you've talked about this, right, Niko? You've talked about this. You said we got the worst Donald Trump because we had the worst Joe Biden. Now we got the worst Donald Trump, and that's meant to do what? Bring in the Democrat. And Donald Trump is making you look like, hey, man, I'd rather have Gavin Newsom right now than Donald Trump. That's what they're trying to make it look like.
Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House, dog? He's holding meetings with Jared Kushner, guys.
Yes.
Like, there is nothing more dangerous than a Democrat that gets power right after a Republican shits the bed. Republicans love a Democrat who gets power after the Republican shit the bed because Republicans get whatever they want when that happens.
Who passed NAFTA again? It wasn't HW. It was Clinton.
Bill.
There you go.
It took Clinton to get it passed.
Yeah, and that's why
who
Donald Trump
countries?
is passing all this anti-constitutional Fourth Industrial Revolution spyware bullshit on you, because he can do that, because people are going to go, but Trump, they still think, and let's hand it to Andrew, they still think the conservatives in this country, because I was at a James Fishback thing, they still think that Donald Trump represents their ideology. Like they align with his, he loves America, and he wants to keep us safe from immigrants, and he's a good Christian. Andrew, go ahead.
Well, I think whoever the next president will be the steam release for whatever side is the most organized, right? Mm-hmm. Like you've seen it with like Biden taking office. You had Trump, and the left was literally mobilized all the way through 2020. Biden takes office, and then they just disappeared.
They went back to brunch.
They show up. Yeah, they show up right at the end of Biden's term, but the right had been mobilizing, and they were literally like, okay, well, now we need a right-wing candidate to put the right-wing people, like the actual people that believe in, like, liberty down, right? Because, our guy's in office, we can just give up our responsibilities to them. So I think it'll be whoever's organized the hardest that they'll allow their, like, flavor of ice cream to be elected, so that way that organizing base drops.
Yeah, which, by the way...
sense?
So no, I 100% agree, which is actually what scares the hell out of me, that the Democrats are going to win handedly. The worst thing that could possibly happen is that the Democrats win handedly in not just the midterms, but in the presidential election, right? And a lot of times, the best case scenario for Americans is that one side wins, but none of them win handily, because then they just end up in a constant state of gridlock, and like nothing happens, which is a net positive for us, because every time one side does have all the power, we get fucked. Like we get reamed. That is just a fact. So what we don't want is a situation where because the Republicans, in my opinion, right now are completely disorganized. If there are people holding debates with, in saying that Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are the devil, that they're the problem with the conservatives and the Republicans, like, bro, they're down bad, because you need both of them if you're gonna win the Republican nomination, in my opinion. Like, that is just a fact. You need both of them.
But they both are let me say this much: as a leftist who's not going to vote for the Democratic Party, both those people are full of shit. As far as I'm
They
concerned.
are. I mean,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
the
Like,
reality
I
of
get what
the
you're saying when the conservatives, because they do have a more even keel, less imperialistic, less killing point of view than the Donald
they
Trump
have. I mean,
administration.
they
And
have
stuff.
the
So,
most basic commonsensical take on
yeah.
on the two of the most important issues of our time, which is killing babies to steal their land is bad, and we shouldn't support neo-Nazis. Right? Like, oh my God, can't believe it. That's all it took for them to be hated. So there's that. But then it's like, but on the left, I don't like Hassan, but a Democrat's not going to win without him backing them. As far as, or at least a Democrat's not going to get any progress in the primary without him backing them. But also Democrats won't win without him which is why they kiss his ass by the time the general election comes around. Right? So but I don't see the Republican Party as organized and as militant in that organization as they were when they believed that they genuinely believe rather that Trump was this outsider pretending to be insider to benefit the working class. Like, there are people who still act like that, they feel that way, but the
Yeah.
reality is they don't believe it. So, and I think that we've seen that the organizing has tampered down and they look a little bit more discombobulated than they did a few years ago. So unfortunately, I believe that could lead to a Democratic win, and if it's a dominant one, then we're screwed.
Good,
So
Andrew.
as a final thought, hop off so that way other people can call in. Post COVID, there has been no political ground game organizing, right? Like, you don't have door knockers, you don't have like a whole bunch of local groups coming together. At least as far as I can see, because that's what for the longest time won elections was people actually
Knocking on
out
doors.
organizing, knocking on doors. And I think that that's completely evaporated. Like, post-COVID, that's just not a thought anymore.
Which probably was part of the point.
Yeah.
That's probably part of the point. Yeah.
So I'll leave you with that as like a final thing. But I think that's one place where we could actually like make some gains if we have someone that like we get a consensus on, because there's just no ground game anywhere for any party anymore.
You know, Andrew, the reason why I asked you to come do the Friday show is because you can identify big gaps, big issues, and implement solutions. I really do appreciate it.
Facts.
But, you're the fourth white man caller of today's show, and I brought Niko House here on Tuesdays so we can get some black people calling in. And now, maybe we can get a woman calling in, but we need some help here. I had enough from the white men today. I do appreciate you. I love you.
Guys, bye.
Seriously, 4 white men call. We come on, man. We need some diversity over here.
We've got some diversity coming, Pasta.
Let me give me some diversity. Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Drive time.
Hold on.
Caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hold on, it's calling back.
Damn. Could be Uncle Brother. Maybe it's Radio Raheem. I saw Radio Raheem in the chat. So
Yes.
it's Radio Raheem. I
Correct.
told
Can you
you
hear me?
it was Radio Raheem. What's going on, Radio?
Well, I heard. Well, Niko was summoning. Is that it? Summoning me with what he was saying earlier with regard to the voting and Jill Stein and Butch Ware. So I have to call in with my little 2 cents about write-in voting. Now, Stein and Ware were the last 2 balloted candidates that I voted for. I've been writing in ever since, after them. I mentioned yesterday, somebody brought up Butch Ware in George Galloway's chat the other day. George Galloway went off on Tucker Carlson and how, bringing up somebody like a Butch Ware was silly because somebody like him could never win, whereas Tucker Carlson has, greater odds because of his platform and blah, blah, blah. And that's why I was, ranting on about George Galloway keeping his nose out of our electoral business, because he's, talking about Tucker Carlson. He might have a huge platform, but as we talked about yesterday, he's all behind um,
JD
J.D.
Vance.
Vance.
Yeah, and he's
Right.
also very Johnny
So
come lately when it comes to his political analysis. If we're being completely honest.
Yeah.
okay, right. And so Pasta, you said something earlier. I can't remember what the topic was, but you, in response to it, you said, "Well, every time I bring that up, I always hear the same thing." So I started to call in then, but I was a little late getting up, and so I came a little late getting into the show. So I'm doing it now because every time I bring up the write-in voting, like you were saying yesterday, Pasta, we've tried that. We always get the same thing. We've tried that. It doesn't work. So I'm going to piggyback on what. And, oh, by the way, I'm not in ATL. I'm Central Georgia. ATL is so surveilled right now. I will not go anywhere near that place unless it's maybe I might go out to dinner or something one day. But no, not ATL. But I wanted to say that we have to start giving some serious consideration to writing in some names. I want to write in Butch Ware this time around, because he is known. He is very. If Jill Stein's not going to run, put it that way. If they're not going to, resurrect their ticket, I would write in a Butch Ware before I would vote for any of these mainstream candidates. I would never cast a vote for some. I like what Dave put in the chat. GSAOCIA. That's what he put. Yeah, she said, no way. I will never vote for J.D. Vance. I'm not going to cast my vote for any of these people. But we have to break this system. And I honestly, I will say this over and over again. I warned you yesterday. I'm going to be the guy that's going to get on your damn nerves talking about writing in voting, because we have to bust that system the way that they set it up to be used, and they have that line in there for us to be able to write in names, and instead of just casting votes for the choices that they give us to choose, what they give us to choose from. I'm not doing that anymore. I was going to vote for Ross Perot, years ago, and I let somebody, I let the pressure of, oh, you don't want to waste your vote, get to me. And I've been felt guilty ever since, because I always feel like if I had gone ahead and cast my votes for Ross Perot, that might have been the one that put him over the top. And how many other people may have felt the same way. That dude was right about everything, and I have not let that go, because everything he said was going to happen, happened.
Yep.
And I said, I would never not vote for him.
I was going to say the concept of wasting your vote to me has been a bizarre one. So I guess since I was able to vote, because if I'm voting for the person I want to vote for, how is that a waste of my vote? Like, that's like saying
Exactly.
like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? It's like when a
Well,
basketball
the
player,
argument. They're like, if
What?
you're gonna vote for the third party, you're gonna help the other guy get in. That kind
I understand it, but that's not a waste of my. That's not a waste of my. No, they're voting for the person that they want. I'm not helping anyone except for the person I'm voting for. Period. Point blank. Like because what I damn sure don't want to do is be party to, like, for example, a genocide, right? Like the people who didn't want to waste their votes this last election. Not the last. Well, I guess this last election too, but the one prior, the liberals or leftists or latte leftists or latte liberals, you want to call them, the ones that didn't want to waste their votes, because that's what we were told, literally voted for a motherfucking genocide.
Yeah.
Like we can't, and then not just voted for a genocide, but then voted to fund neo-Nazis.
Well, can I say something? The argument of voting too, as well, and radio. I'm not trying to disencourage people of a method you're talking about writing people in. It goes back to when Niko, because I blame Niko for a lot of my political, situations, right? Like, he got me involved in election integrity, and I haven't stopped since, he got me involved. But the thing is that we need a legitimate system itself, right? So if we really want to enact change, we want to get people in there who are going to represent us. If we want to have the ability to be able to really fire and hire people, to make sure things are done properly. We need a system that is solid. And we've gotten so far away from the system itself. And now we have all these Republicans in here, right, that are in office now, and Donald Trump talking about all this acts, the SAVE Act and stuff like that. It's not going to save. It's not going to save us right now. Mail-in ballots, proprietary software system. The system is so far out of whack that, I mean, it doesn't even make a difference if we come up with a plan to get the right people in there, independent or not. The system won't allow us to do it because they can cheat it and put in whoever they want, and that's a problem.
Situation is so it was like, at first it was absentee. Then it was, well, if you're old. Now it's if you feel like it. Like it's, and then we'll see situations where mail-in ballots will go 98 or 99% towards one candidate, and it just so happens to be the candidate that was picked by the establishment, but more importantly, had zero motion. No one cared about them. There was no excitement surrounding them, but yet people decided to turn their ballots in early to vote for this guy. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So the mail-in ballot system has really been taken advantage of. And it just, once again, we need our system in general. Because I personally, if Butch Ware ran, I would write him in if I wasn't allowed to vote, if I couldn't circle his name on a ballot. But in realistically speaking, he would have probably the most efficient and effective ground game carrying over from a presidential election in a very successful gubernatorial campaign. But the problem that we have is that there are two parties working together, and then a people that is refusing to acknowledge the corruption within this system that is not going to give Butch Ware a legitimate chance to win. He could win the election for all we know, and we would never know. And that's the ultimate problem that we're dealing with.
And that's where we're at too right now. Because the way of cheating people, it's not only just about getting the person they want in or keeping the person they don't want out. It's about really mentally mind fucking the public to think that their neighbor wanted this other choice and stuff. So it makes you capitulate. Well, if the populace wanted this person, we should go along with it. No. There's a lot of voodoo there. Go ahead and put a bow on it. Do we have another caller? Or are we okay? We are coming to the top of the hour, so we do have to wrap it up soon, radio or Uncle Brother.
Yeah. Well, okay, I agree with both of you. First of all, I agree. I'm not speaking against what you're saying. All I'm saying is to replace the system that we have, it's got to be broken first. The only way to break it is stop participating in it in the way that they are trying to mind fuck us to do.
You could stop participating, but it's not going to break the system. They're going to continue to go along because they'll get enough people to participate to keep the only way things change is if the power structure changes.
The only way,
there's only a fraction of the population that participates.
So I think, just my little 2 cents, the only way to get things to change is to start talking about writing in votes and stop talking about how it's not going to work. The more, it's just like, we were talking about earlier, the whole thing about wasting the vote, how you wouldn't buy into, oh, my vote's not wasted if I cast it.
Even if you got, but the radio, hold on.
I get it. That's how I vote. Actually,
that's what I'm saying.
I do a pretty much all right.
They're not going to give you the real results.
We're just saying that there's a world where what you're saying can be done, but at the same time, you then have to deal with the fact of, so what are we going to do after we fully acknowledge that the write-ins were completely ignored or been thrown in a different direction? Because that's what's going to happen. So it's like, we're not saying theoretically that what your plan isn't a step in the right direction. We're saying is we have to start talking about what's next, because we thought overwhelming the system would have worked with Bernie. Yeah. And logically speaking and mathematically speaking, it should have worked. Bernie Sanders was, we've never seen a candidate cheated like that since Henry Wallace. Financially, he won. Filling up stadiums, he won. Individual donations, he won. There was every single factor that usually dictates which candidate wins, he won, and we still lost because he was cheated. And so yeah, the write-in thing, great. But then I get what we're trying to say is what's next is basically how is what we're at. It's like we have to figure out what that next step is.
That does? you get the strength, you get the power, you get the energy, you get the momentum. You go in there and you do that, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. It completely deflates the whole mentality, right? About like picking somebody else, and then it can be more of a negative, Radio Raheem, than a positive. I'm going to give you the last 60 seconds since we're wrapping up the show. So go ahead.
I'll say this quickly. I see somebody in the chat said something. Mail-in voting is safe. No, it's not. I think that's the way that
Whoever said that doesn't know what they're talking about. I love you, but no.
You said mail-in voting what?
Mail-in ballots is how they're cheating the most, because who knows where your mail-in ballot is going and how
Where it
that's
came
being
from.
counted. So Niko said that both sides are cheating. Yes, both sides are cheating. So why not the biggest side cheat? That's us, the voters. We need to cheat by writing in votes. And my last parting words are, Professor Storky 2028. Woo-hoo!
We know who we're
I can
writing
get
in.
behind
We're writing
that.
Professor Snork. I get behind that too. You know, take a picture of your
All right,
ballot.
guys.
Send it in. Love you, radio.
Thanks for the time. Thanks for the time, man. See you.
I might
got
write
it.
myself in.
Who is Niko? Do we still have one more caller or no?
I mean, we can grab it if you want.
Let's just grab it real quick. We'll say hello and goodbye. And then
Call back from Drive Time.
I love that. I love that we
Come
got
back
the
from
system that
drive
calls you.
time.
Hi.
Who was it? Was it a voicemail?
It was Joanna. So
Ah,
it went to her voicemail.
well, Joanna, we love you. Man, I wanted a lady to call in today.
It says pasta every day.
Oh, well, man. Thanks, Uncle Brother. What's that?
It says pasta every day. Damn, I wanted a lady to call me today.
All right, it's trying to come in. Let's see what happens.
Here it is. Joanna, what are you doing?
Call back from Drive Time.
Hello?
Hold on, it's calling.
I love hearing the ring. You can let the ring go. We'll be quiet.
I don't want it giving. If it goes to voicemail, I don't want it. I don't want it giving out.
This is what he's talking about when he said neurodivergent chat pasta. I love hearing the ring.
Who is it? Me too, Pasta. Who is it? Where are you calling from?
This is Daniel. I'm calling from Shellenberg, Texas. I'm actually from San Antonio.
What's going on, Daniel?
Well, I wanted to talk about my crazy theory about 9/11, but you guys got into talking about voting, and I think I should continue on that conversation because you're asking the wrong questions.
All right, listen. We're supposed to wrap up the show in a minute, but go ahead and give us your theory, and then we can continue the conversation tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about 9/11 from now until 9/11. Jason Burmis will be with us on 9/11. So
I guess I'll call some time probably next week. My theory is that we should stop talking about how to elect the people we want, and we should figure out how to get the dictator we want, because we're in the cycle of dictatorship when it comes to government cycles. So all countries go through these 3 cycles: democracy, where people talk, dictator, and then military junta, then back to democracy. America has gone through this 3 times. The recent one, the last dictator America had was FDR. And the military junta, well, he just so happened to be a military junta, was, I can't think of the guy's name, Eisenhower.
yeah.
And we go through these cycles all the time, and I think we're asking. I, for one, got my mayor elected because I wanted bike lanes and better transit. His name is Ron Nirenberg. So I'm sorry for putting that corrupt guy in power, but I wanted those things. And I did a voter's guide. And you can still have effect on the local level, but your goal should be modest. Not these extravagant things, because we don't have the resources right now.
Yeah, yeah. So an altruistic dictator is what you're thinking.
We're in that cycle right now. You can either fight against it or go with the flow of nature. Nature is more stronger than you. And those
But how
who
do
know
we
how to
geoengineer? How do we geoengineer that nature for our benefit?
I mean, shit,
Your
they
theory.
got
How do we get our? Yeah.
This is where I do not have an answer. The only thing I know is that since we're so individualistic in this country, you're out every man for himself. Might as well start if you can. I cannot do what I'm about to tell you. Grow your own food, raise your own chickens, and I can't do it. I don't own a place to live. I'm a long haul truck driver. I'm dependent on whatever the grocery store has, and I deliver toilet paper.
Well, that's the COVID. That's a
I hate to say this,
necessary.
I'm giving
That's a need
advice
right
that
there.
I cannot do what I'm about to say, and this is hard work. It is easier to go to the grocery store and use what little money you got for, well, I wouldn't go for ramen anymore. That stuff is getting expensive. But,
Yeah.
But I would just try to go, if you can do it, you can. If you can't, I don't know what to do. I can point you probably in the right direction, but I don't even think that is the right direction for what we're talking about right now, for the people like me who are technically homeless.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what you were running to somewhere. You out of breath. So I'm glad you're excited that you're running to the phone for the show. So thank you so much. And Daniel, what you've done now is you've laid some great groundwork that we can continue to discuss on this show. But we are past the time of the show is supposed to end. But I want to go grab Joanna real quick because she's on the other line. She's a caller. But why don't you continue to call in? Continue to listen. What's your name in the chat? Are you in the chat or you don't go to the chat?
Occasionally I do, but mainly I'm driving when I'm talking. Right now I'm walking. I'm taking a walk to a coffee shop.
Wow, nice. And you're in Tejas, right?
Yeah, I'm in Texas.
Nice. Did you see my Knicks cup? You know the Knicks beat the Spurs, by the way, because I heard you're from San Antonio. Just want to make sure you know that.
Spurs go! Go Spurs go! Go Spurs go!
Hey,
Daniel,
tell your boy to develop. Until your boy develops a post game, Spurs ain't going nowhere but back home.
Here we go. All right, listen,
Yeah,
Daniel.
I can't help it. Our lead coach is a anti-Trump fanatic. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, I like Kyrie no matter where he's at, and he never plays on my team. But listen, we laid some groundwork. Let me get to this last caller. Thank you for watching the show. Be a part of this community. We'll have more discussions. We know that Daniel from Texas is the guy who thinks that we need our own authoritarian dictator. We got to figure out how we got to get that because we usually don't get those choices. Thank you so much, Daniel, for calling in. Okay, and be safe. Be careful on the walk. You're huffing and puffing. Don't run. Walk, baby.
All right, I am.
You got it, buddy.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you so much. Is that Joanna on the other line? Let's get to her real quick. Let's see if we can grab her.
You got to give it a second.
Yeah, I know. I'm not. I'm
All right.
just saying.
Is this Joanna?
Hello. How are you?
Nico just bounced.
It is Joanna.
Nico bounced. He had to leave because we did him overtime. But we're gonna do. You're on overtime. You're on overdrive with Joanna.
I feel so special. Thank you for taking my call after hours.
Aw, thank you for hanging in there.
I just wanted to say two things.
Go ahead.
I've always mailed in my ballot, and I know, and I don't know how, everything else, but I know I can go online and it tells me where it is, it tells me when it's counted, and it tells me what I voted for.
That doesn't make a difference. That doesn't. Hold on a second, Joanna. That doesn't make a difference. They're doing that with all the ballots.
But in that case,
yeah, no, it's not a safe way of voting.
With that case, I mean, I get it. But going in person, you could say the same thing. They could take it. They can say what they want, and in the end, it'd be whatever it is. Whether
I'm not
you
advocating
mail it
for
in
what they're
or you
doing
go
now.
in person.
I don't mean to stomp on your voice, and I guess because we're pressed for time and stuff. I'm not advocating for what they're doing now today in person. I'm advocating for what I've witnessed and seen in Latin America, where it's transparent in front of everybody. So the choices, what I'm saying, it's kind of like the choice for president. You get two fucked up choices because those are the choices they give you. We have to reject the two choices they give us now in voting and get back to a transparent way. So go ahead.
Yeah. And then the other point I just wanted to say, when it comes to mail-in ballot, I think that not mail-in ballot. When it comes to writing in a candidate, I think that if we, and I've never done that before, and it's because, you know, in the past, thinking about it, just everybody saying you're voting for, you know, if you don't vote for the candidates, it's just going to get lost. But if enough of us write in, then they can't ignore it. It can't be ignored at that point. Like, and maybe there's not enough people doing it. But if we write in our ballot, what was it? There was the year where people wrote in Kanye, right? And it became a headline. But if enough people do it, then it becomes a headline. So I think that we should we should write in our votes, whatever it is that if it's not one of the candidates that we want, we won't be backing them. And I think it will send a clear message, and it becomes a headline, you know, and it may not help for this election because it might be all over the place, or it might end up doing something. But I think it's sending a message, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. Can I make a suggestion? What I think needs to happen, right? Because I've been thinking about this, Joanna, and listen, I don't disagree with Uncle Brother, who's AKA Radio Raheem. I love him. I don't disagree with you that we need to reject the choices that they're giving us. But like I said, it's more of a nefarious practice when the system is so messed up that they can actually crush the momentum and the hope from people behind those movements of trying to get somebody different out there, you know, with that kind of voting for the third party person. What I think we need to do, there's a town in New York, I believe it's Columbia, New York, right outside of Columbia, the city, where they do like the real voting process and what I saw in Nicaragua, Honduras, Colombia, and whatnot, where it's 1 day of voting. Right? Like, I don't think there's early voting over there. I'm not sure. They could have changed the rules because it's New York. But you show up in person, you do the whole thing, they crack them out, count them in front of you. The system is transparent where you can see it. I think we need to highlight a system of a city somewhere in this country and say, this is the system we want to go for, and push that system, right? Because it doesn't make a difference until we change the mechanism. Go ahead.
You're saying 1 day voting. This is the 1 day, you come on this 1 day, you do what you have to do for that 1 day. I don't think our culture in America allows for that, because that would mean that all companies, like my company allows time off to go vote. But this requires that all companies that employ anybody, that's a day off. No matter what it is, you have to go, and you have to go vote for this day. That requires a lot more than I think we can do, and it also negates people who can't get out for whatever reason, ailments, is going on. So I think our culture here doesn't allow to do anything like a 1 day voting type system. There's a whole other issue that we would have to rectify before we could even think about doing something like that. I think that's going to stifle more votes than it'll actually bring out.
Here's the thing. They do all these votings on a Sunday in most of these countries because that's the day where most people have off, right? And then they make it a point where you can go and vote. Voting should be expedient. It should be fast. There's a reason why they put all these things into play. There's a reason why they make your day to vote on a Tuesday, Joanna, because they don't want you to vote. They want you to be caught at work, whatnot. There's a reason why they broke the system and made it forever to vote and said, okay, I'm just going to go with a mail-in voting because I don't have time to stand in line for 2-3 hours to vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why they do this. We can change all these things. I don't believe it's not in our culture. If you have a job and you have to show up to your job, right, on that time and that day, you have to show up to your job at that time and at that day. Otherwise, you lose your job. So I don't believe it's not within our culture that we can't do it. I believe they've just broken all the mechanisms around there to kind of usher in these other things that they call solutions. It's like the American government, right? They create the problem so they can present you the solution. Well, the solution they're presenting you when it comes to voting is a solution that is flawed and it's gained and it's cheated and it's not transparent. We can do all these things if we have the will to do it. It's just like anything else. And
Well,
we
I
can
agree.
make voting
I agree. It could
transparent
be
and fair.
it could be a federal holiday, and that's just it's a federal
supposed to be.
holiday. You know,
Yeah. It's
I- you
supposed
know,
to be on a
there's-
Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
you know, people
Where
arguing
most people-
over Juneteenth. People
Yeah.
arguing over Juneteenth being a holiday, not being a holiday, depending on what state you're in and what you're doing
Yeah.
or whatever. And it's just like really voting day is more important than any of the other holidays. Or that's not even a holiday, but that's, you know, I'd give up pretty much any other holiday. I've always worked, you know, well, in the past because my company doesn't do it anymore. Well,
Yeah.
I still kind of work, but like Christmas Day and things like that, that's just me because that's, you know, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. See-
You know, there's others who would have a problem with it, which is great for them. You have the day off, but why can't I choose my day to be something else?
Yeah.
You know,
Or, I mean, you
because
can find out ways
it's
if you
not
want
something
to
I
stay
go
open as
to.
a business. You could just find a way that you'll let people out to go vote because it's expedient. In Nicaragua, the average time to vote was less than 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Less than 5 minutes. And,
Yeah.
you know, we went all around the country, different spots, people reporting from the capital, people reporting from Bilwi, which is in the Caribbean coast. But here's the thing, what I'm talking about, and we got to get going, Joanne, because it is late. But
Yeah.
the thing is that I'm glad that you brought this here today because this is the most important thing right now in my mind. As long as we're having discussions about how to get this right, you said something very important. People are arguing over Juneteenth becoming a holiday. No, we need to be arguing that election day needs to become a holiday. That's a good spot to be in when we're talking about how do we fix this system that we can get real representation, right? And there's so many factors to it. And there's a lot of people like me who know about this, who would love to have these conversations. As long as we're having the conversations, that's what's most important. Take the last 30 seconds, Joanna. We're going to wrap up the show.
The only other thing that I wanted to point out is that I believe I heard you say, or somebody said, that there's people out there who think Trump holds their ideals, and they'll say all these things. But the thing is that what I think is that it is their ideals, like what he's doing. They think it's their ideas, but it actually is their ideals, and it's not the majority. But it's like it's not like they think it. It is. It just is.
No, it's more their ideals, not his. He's lying, right? But it is their ideals. Pro-Christian, anti-immigrant. You know what I'm saying? It's a very low-minded, shallow, low-informed voter out there that thinks that he does share that. We're not in an ideological battle.
And that goes back to education.
Yeah.
And that goes back to education because we don't teach all of these things that's going on. Like there's politicians out there that are saying, "Oh, we are going to ban something that doesn't happen. It's not a thing. It's already not a thing." Like we're gonna ban that people who get the cash, low income families that get cash from the government, that they can't use it on video games. They already can't. It's not a thing, but they're saying we're gonna ban this as if it's not already a thing, and people are like, yay, see, I knew they were doing that, and it's like, no, but they weren't, but that's never been a thing.
No, we got more discussions to be had, by the way, girl. Thank you so much for calling in and representing today, but we're going to bounce out of here. I love you, Joanna. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Bye.
Got great fam on this show. Want to thank everybody in the chat today. It was kind of lively. Want to thank Niko House. He had to bounce. He's got father duties to do. We had Daniel from Texas, Joanna from O-Town, Radio Raheem, a.k.a. Uncle Brother from Georgia, Andrew, who's our Zygmunt, who's our Friday co-host. He'll be here Friday calling in from OHIO, Russ from White Plains, Wesley from some part of Florida. I already said where I'm from. He told you. Don't cross-pollinate the shit weed with the good weed. And Dave from Melbourne kicked off the show. I also want to thank our executive producer, of course, Gabriel Freedom, and everybody else in the chat hanging on out. I want to thank Sleepy J, who did the extra work today for me and for you guys out there to make the show what it is. Keep sharing, keep liking. We'll get it going. Look, as we wrap up today's show, let's take a moment to reflect on the importance of diversity of thought and the peace we can cultivate with our neighbors. In a world that often feels divided, it's our differences that can actually bring us together. Every unique perspective, every story shared enriches our collective experience and fosters understanding. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's how we handle those disagreements that truly matters. Let's embrace dialogue over debate, compassion over conflict. When we listen to one another, we open the door to meaningful relationships. By engaging with our diverse communities, we can find common ground and build bridges that promote peace. So I encourage you to reach out to someone with a different viewpoint, share a meal, have a conversation, or simply listen. Let's create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding in our neighborhoods and beyond. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. Remember, together we can celebrate our diversity and pave the way for a more brighter, more peaceful future. So until next time, keep the dialogue flowing and the peace growing. I love you all. I'm out. Peace.